Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to be reviewing FSR 3 frame generation in Forspoken. So before this video begins, I should say that I've already extensively tested this. Basically since this released I've been on it and I've been experimenting with different settings, values, combinations to see if I had any tips to offer anyone or ways that I can improve the technology, right? And I haven't really found much, right? Besides that, you should probably cap the frame rate to be within inside your FreeSync range. I think that makes the experience a little bit better when you do that. Other than that, though, there's not really much else you can do. So I'll show you guys my settings. I'm using FSR native, but no frame generation. Right here, I'm getting about 64 FPS. I'm gonna move the camera around, see how it feels, and the choppiness and smoothness of the image. All right. Going to enable it and do the same thing. So feel-wise, this it actually feels slightly worse than the internal frame rate. Just slightly though. I don't think most people are gonna notice. Some of us are more latency sensitive than others, and let's speak about image quality. Image quality wise, this looks perfectly fine. Like I was running around earlier and trying to get it to break, but it looks pretty fine. Now if you're zooming in deeply, or you're slowing down the video, or maybe you have a panel with really good motion clarity, maybe you'll notice, or you have a really low internal frame rate, maybe you'll notice some artifacts then. But from how I'm playing, the game looks perfectly fine with this enabled. So that's the good news. But that's where the good news ends, unfortunately. There is a lot of bad news that I'm going to unpack. So to start, like I said, obviously the latency is slightly worse, but that's not something I'm going to hold too strongly against it, because it's an issue NVIDIA's version of this has. Now, I think the latency is a bit better on NVIDIA's, but it's still not as good as the real refresh rate would be. But obviously, this is really only an issue for people that aren't using the 7000 series with Anti-Lag Plus. So, and that's who it was developed for first and foremost. So that's why I'm not going to hold latency against it, because I know it's a bit better and probably equivalent to NVIDIA's on those series of cards. So, with that said, let's get into the part that actually is problematic, that makes it a tough sell as a competitor to NVIDIA's solution. And that is the look. So I just said that image quality is fine. So what I mean? Well, this is what I mean. You guys probably can't see this. I'm recording at 60 FPS, but this looks just as choppy as the internal frame rate. Like, it looks just as choppy as this. It might even look slightly choppier. I don't know, but I'm just letting you know that it looks just as choppy. And I'm even going to go down the FSR quality, right? So this actually feels smoother. Sorry. I mean, it does feel smoother, yes, but I'm talking about how it looks. This looks smoother and like a higher frame rate than the 100 FPS did. So 85 FPS internally looks better than, 100 FPS by the frame generation. And if I were to match it, obviously the image quality is going to look worse. But this is me matching it. It looks like night and day smoother. Like, this actually looks like real 100 FPS. This. Yeah. Wow, that's like super choppy looking. And if frame generation's benefit isn't giving you better latency, like latency of a higher frame rate, and it's also not giving you the look of a higher frame rate, then what's the point? This is really useless. But again, this is Forspoken, a sample size of 1. It's only 1 game. And I am using an officially supported GPU, and I'm also on the latest drivers, and I'm on an AMD GPU. So there's really no reason why I shouldn't notice any sort of difference. And I also have tried it at better frame rates. Again, quality, frame generation on. Yeah, this does not look like 130 FPS at all. That's pretty choppy for what it is. It looks better than what I did before because my internal frame rate's higher, but like, so what's my internal frame rate? It's around 80. It drops a little bit probably. Yeah, that looks pretty much just as smooth as 130. So that's my review. If you're trying this technology, don't just be like this. Be like, oh, all right, let me enable it. Oh, wow, look at my FPS. This technology is great. Like, no, like actually look and see if it actually looks or feels like the frame rate you're getting. Because if it doesn't, then it's not as good as you thought. But anyways, hopefully it's just a issue with this game. Hopefully it gets better. I'm sure it's the only GPUs I can think of that might have a better experience is the 7000 series due to their anti-lag plus, so the latency will be a bit better. But yeah, it needs to look like a higher frame rate. They really dropped the ball on this one, assuming that this doesn't just suck because it's Forspoken. But we'll see. Anyways, that's my review. Peace out.